This video has been made in collaboration with Nurses.co.uk. Please find their PDF with top tips for nursing interviews down below in the video description.
Hi everybody, I hope you are all well. Today I want to talk about my interview experience for my first ever job as a qualified mental health nurse. So it was a preceptorship role, and I actually did that today and it went really well. I thought that when I'd be making this video I still wouldn't know the result, but I think 2 hours after I left the unit where I had my interview, I received a phone call to say that I'd got the job and I accepted it, so I am super excited. However, I know how nerve-wracking it can be preparing for an interview, especially if it's your first one like today was mine. So I thought it would be good to put together a little video just talking about how I approached the situation, give sort of some tips that I found useful, and I'll also put some useful links down below, sort of taking you to places where people probably more experienced than me can advise you. The interview process for me wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. I sort of went into the unit, the sort of psychiatric hospital unit. I sat down in the waiting room and then I was called through it was like the clinical lead of that hospital site, and there were two people in there. It was that woman and then another woman who was the clinical lead for another site. And they sort of talked to me a bit and went through the sort of the necessities, sort of am I fit to work, and they talked about salary and annual leave and all of that. And then they gave me sort of 8 scenarios that were sort of questions/scenarios. I'll give you one example. They said you go into a patient's room and you find them unconscious on their bed and you're unable to rouse them. What do you do? It was that sort of thing. And then they also sort of tested my knowledge on things like the Mental Health Act and the Mental Capacity Act. So it was really good, but also they were so friendly, it made it a lot easier. And also when I did get a bit stuck, because there were a couple of questions where, because I was nervous and in that sort of artificial environment, I was sort of getting stuck with what to say. They didn't just sit there, they prompted me and they sort of, you know, they knew that I knew it and they were assisting me in demonstrating. So if you have been invited along to the interview, chances are you've already filled out quite a lengthy application in which hopefully you looked at sort of the qualities and sort of skills you need to possess for the role, so that you could incorporate it into your personal statement and whatever. And what I did is, when I started preparing for this interview, is I actually went back onto the application and wrote them all down, just so I could have a look at them and try and sort of work out where they would fit into my answers. I didn't want to rehearse my answers because I wanted to be natural and I wanted my dialogue to flow. So I don't recommend doing that, but I think familiarising yourself with what they are going to be looking for is really helpful. Something else I really recommend doing, and I have in front of me here in the same sort of long document thing that I made, is looking up information about the trust in which you are applying to work in. So I looked at strategic objectives and their sort of short-term priorities, long-term goals, their visions, their I'm looking down at it here now, their values, their core care standards, stuff like that, because whilst I personally wasn't asked questions about those things, it's good to know because they might ask you questions about it, and also, you know, incorporating some of that into your answers can only help. Finally, when it comes to sort of researching things about the job role and everything, I delved right into the information provided with the interview offer, the invite, and I found a sort of table with all the areas that I needed to show knowledge in. And I'm sure most people will get this with an interview invite or an application. And it actually specified which areas are likely to be sort of tested in interview. So for example, on mine, possible areas of discussion for interview were listed as demonstrate development of leadership skills, e.g. motivation, facilitation, demonstrate up-to-date evidence-based knowledge for mental health nursing, and demonstrate an awareness of work-based legislation. There weren't only 3, there's like quite a lot of them, but that's just a couple of examples. And so what I did is I wrote down the ones that had the I for interview next to them, and then any that I wasn't 100% sure on, I researched. I went on the web, had a look, and just really familiarised myself with those topics. And whilst the chances of these specific things coming up are really slim, I found that just feeling more confident as a whole, sort of walking into that interview, really helped me. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. Being sort of organised and just making yourself feel more prepared, it can't hurt, can it? So I definitely recommend that. Talking of being prepared, when I sort of formulated this little Laura's interview info pack for myself, on the first page I wrote exactly where I needed to be, exactly when I needed to be there, and below that I put a to bring list. Because the morning of the day of your interview, you're going to be stressed, you're going to be nervous, and it can really help if you've already prepared it all for yourself in advance. So for example, I had to bring documents like my passport, my driving licence for the DBS, and also proof of address, so get all those things in advance. And also I had to take along all my certificates for sort of education and stuff, which I keep in this folder. So yeah, if you've got something like this, it's worth taking it, even if they don't say you should. You know, having it can't hurt. But also, if you don't have one of these, I really recommend it. Having everything together in one little folder. I got given this in like year 7 at school, and I've kept it ever since. But it's a really good way of sort of documenting your achievements and stuff. Also, for people who are applying for preceptorships or their first nursing job after qualifying, like I was today, I recommend taking along your portfolio, your student nurse portfolio. I keep mine in this red folder. And whilst I wasn't told to do this, or advised to, I thought it might be a good idea, because if they ask me to give an experience of how I dealt with blah, well, I could show them feedback from mentors and stuff like that. As it happens, I didn't end up doing that, but I could easily have done. Every interview is different, and within any hospital, every trust is different. So yeah, these are the things that I took along, these and all my personal documentation. I allowed myself loads of time to get there as well, and I'm so glad I did, because traffic was bad, and then when we got there, parking was a nightmare, and then we couldn't find the building, but luckily we got there on time. So I really recommend leaving really early, because the worst that can happen, I don't know, pack your Kindle and a drink, or go and find a coffee shop or something. It will relax you, it will help, because there's nothing worse when you're feeling nervous already, suddenly you're stuck in a traffic jam and you just feel sick, and it's going to affect your performance going into the interview. My final tip is to just try and remain calm and confident and have faith in yourself, because that will show to them. And I mean, nerves are normal. If you didn't have any, then it might, you know, it's probably a sign that you don't really care, and that's not a good thing. But just try and remember that you're clearly capable, because you're either about to qualify or you are qualified. And whilst it's sad that there are a lack of nurses out there at the moment, it does sort of work in our favour a little bit, because, you know, people want us. We are a valuable asset at the moment. So, you know, just try and stay positive, have faith in yourself. And yeah, I'm going to be qualified soon, and I've got a job, and I'm scared, but I'm so excited. If you have any questions about anything to do with the interview process, please let me know below. Like I said, I've only done one, but it obviously went well, and I'm so happy. But I will put links below as well to sort of other advice from other people. And if you have an interview coming up, then I wish you the absolute best of luck. And yeah, I hope everybody is well, and take care. Bye!